Okay, here we have the Q157 sample and hold module. This module has 5 different sections. At the top we have an LFO with a square wave output and a sine wave output. This sine wave is good for vibrato or tremolo, which is amplitude modulation. The second section is a divider that's automatically connected to the square wave output. Now this divider is set to divide by 2, but on the circuit board you can change the jumper to divide by 4, divide by 3, all the way up to divide by 8. And these are using switching jacks, so without a plug inserted in here, we're automatically connected to the square wave output. The same is true for the sample and hold section. It's automatically connected to the internal LFO until you put a gate plug in there, then you can bypass it. The next section is noise, and this knob is a 2-pole low-pass filter. There's a jumper on the circuit board so that you can convert this into just a level control instead of a low-pass filter. This uses a switching jack also. It's automatically connected to the input of the sample and hold, and without a plug in there, it's automatically connected, but you can bypass it and put a plug in there. And of course you can use the noise source separate from all the other sections in the module. The bottom section is a decay and slew limiter, depending on the position of this switch. In the up position, which is decay, then you have basically a decay envelope, and this can be used for percussive sounds. So you just put a gate in here and you get a decay out there, and this is the speed. In the bottom position, we have a slew limiter, and so you can put a pitch voltage in here and get your pitch voltage out and adjust the portamento with this. This is your speed. Without a plug into the input in slew limiting mode, it automatically loops. So you end up with a variable speed LFO that can be used for all kinds of modulation. It can even trigger envelopes and trigger sequencers if you want. Okay, let's do a quick little patch here. We're going to start with our audio, and that goes to the output of our VCA. This is the Q148 VCA++. And we'll take the input, will be connected to a low-pass filter, and we'll use a square wave output from our oscillator. And we'll drive the VCA with the envelope, with an envelope generator. And we'll use a gate from our keyboard. Okay, so we got a simple little patch here that we can play with. Now let's start out with the first section, which is the LFO section, and let's do some vibrato with the internal sine wave. Of course, you can use a square wave also. And you can do different things like take the divide by 2 output and go into the linear frequency, so you got 2 voltage control happening here. And we can use that output for something else. Let's use it to control the filter here. Okay, and let's go down to the slew limiting section. When we're in slew limiting mode, we're going to automatically loop. So we have basically use that as an LFO. And we can listen to the noise output. go back to that patch. Now let's do what people often do with a sample and hold, and that is we're going to trigger it with the internal LFO, and remember that connection is already made. You can see here with the arrow. And we're going to take the noise output and patch it into the sample and hold, but we don't have to do that because we're using switching jacks. So just use, look at that arrow there. And so basically at this output, without patching anything here, we have a random stepped output. And of course we can use that for our filter, to control our filter. Now if you've played with sample and holds, you know that you can have the LFO driving the gate and another LFO coming into the input at two different frequencies, and you can get some interesting effects here. So we'll do that. We're going to take an LFO from over here and patch it into the input. So we have this LFO controlling the gate, and we have another LFO that is going to be sampled. And so the ratio of those two frequencies will create a stepped output that can be interesting. Okay, let's talk about the divider section. In the normal mode, it's divided by 2. So let's take a gate input. And so when we're putting a gate in there, every time I press a key, it's going to alternate on and off. Okay, what can we do with that? Let's take this output and let's control the filter frequency with that. So every time I press a key, every other time I'm going to change the filter frequency. Okay, so let's go down here. Let's use the decay section, go into decay mode. We'll put a gate in, and we'll take this output. Let's use this one to control our oscillator. So this is our speed right here. So this is just a single stage envelope generator with just a decay output. And if we go into slew mode, and of course we can do other things with that envelope output. Okay, there's a few ideas of what you can do with the Q157. You can use each of these sections independently or connected together.